Hey everybody, welcome back. It's been like a month and a half since I've posted my last video, and in that time period, things have just been crazy. I don't even know where to begin to bring you guys up to speed, but I'm going to start back at the furthest project back that we worked on. We shared over $25,000 in business between members of the Patreon support group. It's an incredible story, but I want to explain the differences moving forward, at least for the foreseeable future in the channel. I haven't had a chance to post any videos in a month and a half because we've been jumping from project to project, and it's just been crazy. I don't have the same amount of free time that I do even in the evenings to put together a script, to edit the videos, to put nice B-roll into it. So I'm just going to take some advice from a friend of mine who has over 250,000 subscribers and press record and just chat at you guys for about 10 minutes. And hopefully this is going to allow me to post at least one video a week. If you guys are lucky, maybe I can do 3, 4, 5. We'll see how it goes. So let's start with the story of sharing $25,000-ish in business between members of the Patreon support group. It all started in the Discord channel at like 2 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. Somebody drops in and they say, I've got 600 shirts worth of orders every day coming through. It's not something that can be run on screen print because they're all custom designs. This is ideal for DTG. So obviously nobody responded to this guy in like 12 hours. So I wake up the next morning and I'm looking back over the messages that happened in the general chat, and I said, why has nobody responded to this Norby guy? It looks like he's got legitimate business. I mean, this could be one of those cash scams for all we know, but let me vet him. So I reached out to the guy, I started asking some questions, and I mean, he had all the right answers. I was asking him about his business model, about, you know, what he needed done, why he needed it done, some examples of his artwork, and this dude is just firing back answers and then answering my next question before I asked it. To vet him, I said, look, I can run this kind of job on the laser transfer printer. Send me $25. I'll run you a sample right here live, and I'll take some close-up pictures of it. Come to find out, the guy's in Spain. So, I mean, there was a lot of red flags firing here, but I said, you know what, I'm going to give this dude a chance. He paid the invoice immediately with an American Express card. Then, once he saw the samples, he liked it. But we were talking about a 10-day period where we could produce at best. And we were starting a production line from zero. So I had not done any large fulfillment, at least not to date, on the laser transfer printer. And I said, look, there's no way I can do 600 shirts by myself. It's just not possible with what we're doing. But I may be able to take a smaller chunk of that, maybe up to 300 shirts. I've got a couple of heat presses. I can pull several bodies in. We can probably make this work. And he was willing to work with me. By the time we got all of our ducks in a row, it was almost 5 o'clock. I wasn't able to get orders in for the types of garments and blanks that we needed. So I was putting a lot of overnight orders together that were going to arrive Monday. We took a deposit in, and then I reached out to the guys that were in the Patreon support group that share our private supporter chat in the Discord. I brought it up to Burns500. He's made an appearance on the YouTube channel before, and I also brought it up to Renee Printfuse, who is in the Discord as well. And I said, look, guys, I vetted this guy. He's the real deal. We talked to him on the phone. I took a deposit and I took a sample fee. He's serious and he actually needs production. If you guys want to jump in on this with me, I think there's going to be as much business as we can produce over the next 7 days at least. And it actually turned into like 11 days. When it was all said and done, the 3 of us had turned out close to $25,000 in business. One of the guys was running a 550 and 2 of us were running 800s. And it was a huge lesson in scaling up from zero to, well, eventually I did 500 shirts in a day. And these are 500 shirts with individual pieces of art that were going to 250 different customers. So we're talking about running production and fulfillment and packaging and folding and bagging and tagging and getting these out to a bunch of people. Just, it was a madhouse. It was an absolute madhouse. So a couple of takeaways that I wanted to share about that experience. First of all, by vetting the person and getting our money up front, we were relatively safe. We didn't expose ourselves financially to an order where somebody puts in 1,000 pieces that's going to be cash on demand. Whenever I received 750 orders or 1,500 shirts worth of business, I followed that up with a request for payment. And we were paid up front, and that allowed us to pull in all of our supplies, all of our shirts, everything to fulfill the job ahead of time so that we weren't out and floating $7,000 or $10,000 worth of production and blanks on our dime, especially with somebody that we hadn't established a relationship with. I know in the past, several months ago, in the comments section of one of my screen printing videos, I got a lot of kickback over people saying there's no way that somebody's going to pay 50% up front or 100% up front. That's crazy talk. So I'm telling you right now, 4 weeks ago, I had somebody who had never met me before contacted me via Discord from another country, and because they needed real production numbers run, I was able to take in over $14,000 cash up front just based on our handshake deal, and we ended up turning that out and producing it. So instead of us exposing ourselves, we were able to cover all of our expenses up front, take our profit up front, pay our people up front, and get the job knocked out. And it wasn't even a question of, well, I want to do half up front, half later. So if you're in a position where somebody wants to pay you after the fact, and this is something I'm going to hit on very heavily in an upcoming video, because after this Mother's Day deal, another deal came through that did not go well. And that's another example of making sure that you have your ducks in a row and are negotiating clearly. That's going to be a whole series of videos. And I will even open the invite up to bring in the person who I believe handled that situation extremely poorly, and I'll give them a chance to defend themselves. However, back on track with the Mother's Day order. So one of the takeaways was you can take money up front for jobs that you do, and you don't have to feel bad about it, because that puts you in a much stronger position as a provider. And you're not having to run around. You can spend your time producing and not running around chasing down money from people who are just slack to pay. Apart from the money side of this job, I knew that there was going to be challenges putting together the logistics of a production line. And, having only 2 old heat presses that weren't really functional for some of the more detailed A to B marrying process or the initial transfer to the shirt, I had to rely on those as secondary options. So I used it for some of the thicker shirts to do the transferring onto the t-shirt itself, and then I used it for the finishing, the 25-second lock-in. But for all of the detailed work, the A to B marrying process, that happened on our new Fusion IQ. And I'm glad that we had 3 heat presses, because it took 3 heat presses and anywhere from 3 to 6 people at a time to knock out the 500 shirt days that we had. So what we had agreed on after I talked to Norby on the Thursday and Friday, I'm guessing it was like 8 or 9 days out from Mother's Day, we were going to take on about 150 orders per day, which is 300 to 350 shirts, depending on if it was 2 shirts or more that were lumped into a single order, just because of the way he had set up his website. What I didn't anticipate, though, was not even being able to get started until Tuesday evening of the following week. So we locked this in on Friday. Orders started hitting our inbox. Supplies and shirts and blanks and everything that we needed to get going didn't even start arriving until Tuesday evening. So Tuesday evening we got started. Wednesday was the first day that we actually had for full production. So our production cycle was 94 shirts on Wednesday, and it was tough. That was like a 12-hour day of just sorting our system out, trying to get the artwork output, 2 different versions of artwork, resizing it, setting up a batch file in Photoshop, getting the labels out of ShipStation and attached to packing slips that were then attached to art, and picking things. There was a lot of moving parts. So what we ended up doing was we had all of the orders from Excel dumped into ShipStation. Once they were imported into ShipStation, all of the information about the order, including the sizes, the artwork that was needed, all of that was in the ShipStation file as line items. We then printed a packing slip that I custom edited. You have access to code in ShipStation, so we edited it to include the extra information that we needed, and I output a label and a packing slip, so 2 different sticky labels as one, and we folded them in half, and then as art came out of the printer, we folded the packing slip around the art and we stacked that up. From there, we used that lump of artwork and packing slips and labels to then go pick the sizes that we needed to produce the job. So once we had the bundles of the t-shirts and the art and everything ready to go, that formed a stack. And we had the first press going on the A to B step, and once we had the A to B step, we would trim it, and it would go on to the next press for application onto the shirt. From that one, it would cool down, we would peel it, and then it would go to the third press where it was going to get its lock-in. So we were able to go from press 1 to 2 to 3 with relative ease once we got into the swing of things. And from there, I had somebody who was folding, bagging, tagging, and then putting the label on the outside of the external poly mailer. So we had a really good system down. Day 1 was 94 shirts. That was a learning experience. Day 2, we jumped up to 154 shirts. Still, I knew that we were at about half the capacity of what we needed to do, and we were way behind because we started 4 days late. Day 3, we hit 300 shirts. So we had a 50% increase on day 2 over day 1, and then we had a 100% increase over day 2 on day 3, and then day 4 and day 5, we hit 500 pieces plus each day. And then on day 6, we went through and we polished up and mopped up everything else, along with some additional orders. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy with how much we had to figure out on the fly and adjust and do and just roll with as we were trying to accomplish this massive order. On the flip side, Renee up in Chicago and Burns out in California were knocking out their own processes. Burns didn't have the same layout that we had. He was working with a single heat press and a 550, and Renee was working with a couple of green guys that had never even worked in the apparel industry before with his brand new 800 and a couple heat presses that he picked up. So we were all dealing with our own struggles. The lion's share of the orders and the slowest person to get started was me, and it was a huge challenge. I don't even think I recorded video from that entire 10-day period. And I was like, and the whole time in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I've got to get some B-roll footage for video on this. It never happened. And I wanted to have Robert Norby from the Discord channel come on and interview with us. And in the month and a half that's followed since then, it's just been so crazy. I haven't even had a chance to have him on. And we're already running Father's Day stuff for him and spreading that around between the Discord channel. Not just the Discord channel at large, but spreading that around between our Patreon supporters. And it's just crazy. It's been absolutely crazy. So here is just a quick update. I'm talking without scripting. I have no idea if this is going to make sense, but this is the story of what happened over the last 6 weeks. And really, this is just part one of about 5 parts to bring you guys current. If you guys enjoyed this new video format, please leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and just let me know if you want to see more content at a faster pace, maybe with less direction, or if you want me to take 30 hours to knock out a video once a month. I'm wide open to your suggestions, and really the proof is going to be in the audience retention. If you guys are still here and you're still enjoying what I'm saying, 12 and 15 minutes in while I'm telling these stories, and if I can even make it make sense in video form, I'll keep doing it this way, and hopefully I can knock out several videos in a week instead of just one once in a blue moon. So more is coming. Stay tuned. If you're interested, make sure to take a look at the Patreon. There is definitely some give and take there. It's not all about supporting the channel. If you haven't already, join the Discord. Our community is coming up on 300 members, and business is being shared, information is being shared. It is turning into a community and a resource far beyond what I anticipated when I first created it several months ago. And I will see you in the next one.